Welcome back to Inherited Dawn, a One Piece podcast.
Today, we are covering Chapter 67, The Soup.
The soup. And let me tell you, this is not just any soup. This is not just any soup. This is the soup that changes everything. This is a weaponized, emotional damage dealing, push a man towards his destiny kind of soup.
A conspiracy in a bowl. It's a moment that defines one of the core themes of this entire series, the sacrifices people will make for the dreams of those they love.
Exactly. And if you feel that connection, that found family energy that makes this story so special, make sure you're part of our crew by being subscribed. You don't want to miss a single step of this journey.
So, the dust has settled. Don Krieg has been defeated, but the battle for the Baratie's heart has only just begun.
We open right where we left off. Luffy just laid out Don Krieg with a final gum-gum bazooka, and Jin is standing over him. He's taking his captain and he's leaving.
And Patty and Carne, the other cooks, they try to stop him. They're screaming at him, "You can't. The poison gas is still in your system." They're showing concern for him, which is a significant change from moments before.
But Jin just walks right past them, doesn't even flinch. He's a man on a mission. He just turns to Sanji and says, "Tell Luffy, I'll see you again in the Grand Line." That line, it's a promise, it's a challenge, it's a sign of respect, it's everything.
It's a recognition of strength, and more than that, a recognition of a different way of living. Luffy didn't just beat Krieg physically, he defeated his entire ideology. Jin witnessed that, and it changed him. This promise is his attempt to align himself with that new, better ideology.
He wants to be part of that world. He sees Luffy and he thinks, that's the kind of man I want to follow. But the tragedy, Robin, the sheer, gut-wrenching tragedy, is that he knows it's a lie as he says it.
He knows it's a promise he likely can't keep. The very next moment, as he's hauling Krieg's unconscious body, he collapses and vomits blood. The reality of his situation crashes down on him.
It hits him right there. The MH5 gas isn't a joke. We saw what it did to everyone on his ship. He realizes he's got maybe a few hours left to live. It's so brutal. After everything, after having this moment of profound change, of standing up to his own captain for Sanji, this is how it ends for him, poisoned by the very man he's still trying to save.
And in that moment of agony, he thinks about Krieg's philosophy. If you decide something, do it without doubt. It's incredibly dark because the very ideology of the man who poisoned him is what he's clinging to as he dies.
That's the part that gets me. He's loyal to the end, even to a guy who treated him like dirt and would have killed him without a second thought. Jin had this one moment of clarity, of defiance when he refused to kill Sanji, and now he's pulled right back into the Krieg mindset. It's like a cult.
It shows the depth of that indoctrination. It's a form of psychological conditioning. For years, Krieg's strength and his philosophy were the only things keeping Jin alive in a harsh world. He can't escape it even in death. It's his default setting. It makes him one of the most tragic characters we've met so far. He saw a better way for a moment and couldn't hold on to it.
His final words are about how he'll just do what he wants in the time he has left, which is taking his abuser back to sea. Man, what a gut punch of a character arc. He had a chance to be free, and his loyalty just dragged him right back down to the depths.
And Sanji watches this happen. He hears Jin's words, he sees him collapse, and he doesn't just let him go. He takes action. He understands the unspoken part of Jin's promise.
He immediately turns to Patty and Carne and tells them he needs their shopping ship to get Jin and Krieg away from here. He's taking responsibility. This isn't even his mess, not really, but because one person showed him a moment of decency, he's willing to move heaven and earth for them.
They obviously refuse. Their reaction is perfectly logical. Why should we help the scumbags who just tried to kill us all and destroyed our home? From their perspective, Sanji is absurd.
But Sanji isn't asking. He's not negotiating. He just unleashes a flurry of kicks, not even making contact. But the force of it, the sheer pressure and wind generated, is enough to terrify them into submission. It's a reminder that Sanji is a monster when he needs to be. We've seen him fight, but this is different. This is pure intimidation.
It's his particular brand of kindness. It's not soft or gentle. He will absolutely kick your teeth in to make sure someone in need gets help. It's a fascinating dichotomy. He's repaying the debt he feels he owes Jin, not with words, but with overwhelming force directed at his own friends.
That one meal, that one moment of respect, for Sanji, that creates a bond that he will see through to the very end. He's not going to let Jin just die on the wreckage. He's giving him a chance to die at sea, like a pirate, which is probably the only dignity he can offer him. It's a dark kind of mercy.
Then we cut back inside, and Luffy is just waking up amidst the debris.
And the first thing he does, covered in bandages, probably with a concussion, looking like he just got run over by a fleet of ships, is ask, "Where's my hat?" Classic Luffy. The world can be ending, but the treasure is the priority.
It's more than a priority. It's his anchor to his own identity. The hat is the physical manifestation of his promise to Shanks and his dream of becoming the Pirate King. If the hat is safe, then the dream is safe. Everything else is secondary.
Sanji, cool as a cucumber, just calmly points out that it's literally in his hand.
The relief on Luffy's face is so pure. It's like a child finding their lost blanket. For a moment, all the pain and exhaustion vanish.
Then, right back to business, he asks where the Krieg pirates are, and Sanji tells him they're gone, and passes on Jin's message about seeing him in the Grand Line.
And Luffy, in his infinite wisdom, completely misunderstands. He thinks Jin wants to see Sanji again. His brain just works on a different frequency.
He's like, "Wow, he must really like you." And Sanji just yells at him for being an idiot. The dynamic between these two is already so good. Sanji is the exasperated straight man to Luffy's chaos. It's a classic comedic pairing, and Oda nails it from their very first real conversation.
But then something clicks in Luffy's head. The fight is over. The threat is gone. This means the end of his chore boy sentence.
His time as a chore boy is up. He paid his debt, and you know what that means. He looks Sanji dead in the eye and goes right back to it. Join my crew. Be my cook. He does not give up. Ever. There was no doubt in his mind. The fight was just a necessary detour on his recruitment mission.
He has the tenacity of a force of nature. It's not a request. It's just a statement of fact that the world hasn't caught up with yet. For Luffy, Sanji joining is an inevitability.
You can see the conflict in Sanji. That offer hits him. You see a flicker of something in his eyes, but he immediately rejects it, of course. He says he's going to keep working at the Baratie until that old fart Zeff dies.
And his reasoning is key. He says it's because Zeff, the great pirate, has finally recognized his skill as a cook. For him, that validation is everything. It's the entire purpose of his life up to this point.
It's the approval he's been fighting for his whole life, from the only father figure he's ever known. How could he walk away from that? It's the emotional anchor that has kept him chained to this restaurant. Luffy, for the first time, actually looks like he's giving up hope. He sees how much that means to Sanji, and Luffy, for all his density, understands the power of a bond like that.
But then Sanji can't just leave it there. He has to clarify one thing. He says he will go to the Grand Line someday. It's still his dream, even if he feels he can't pursue it right now.
And then his whole face just lights up. He asks Luffy if he's ever heard of the All Blue. The shift in his demeanor is instantaneous. He goes from being this guarded tough guy to an excited kid talking about his favorite story.
This is the first time we're really getting the full story. He describes this miracle sea, a place where fish from the east, west, north, and south blue all live together. A chef's paradise, the mythical ingredient that no one has ever found.
The pure joy on his face when he talks about it. That's the real Sanji. It's not the tough guy brawling with pirates. It's the dreamer. That's the soul of a straw hat right there. That impossible, beautiful dream. Every one of them has one. World's greatest swordsman, king of the pirates, and now finding a fairy tale ocean.
It's a dream that is fundamentally about connection and bringing things together. Just like Luffy wants to bring people together as the Pirate King, Sanji wants to find the place where the world's oceans come together. And most importantly, Zeff is watching. He sees that look on Sanji's face. He hears the passion in his voice, and he realizes the kid isn't just a cook. He's an adventurer who has been stuck in port for too long.
You can see the gears turning in the old man's head. That peg leg of his might as well be a smoking gun. Zeff knows what that look means. He had it once too. He's making a plan. This is the moment Zeff decides.
He understands that keeping Sanji here for his own sake, out of a sense of obligation, or even Zeff's own loneliness, would be the cruelest thing he could do. It would be caging him. He's not just a restaurant owner, he's a former pirate captain who sailed the Grand Line. He knows what the call of the sea sounds like.
It's powerful stuff. This whole arc isn't really about Krieg. Krieg was just the catalyst. It's about this. It's about a father figuring out how to let his son go, how to push him towards his own legend.
We get a little breather here, a false sense of calm. Luffy's break time. He and Sanji head to the mess hall for a meal.
And the other cooks are just being total jerks to them. They took away all the chairs, so Luffy and Sanji have to just sit on the floor like a couple of outcasts. The cold shoulder is intense. You can feel the atmosphere change the second they walk in the room.
It's the beginning of the plan. Zeff has clearly spoken to them. They're trying to alienate Sanji, make him feel like he doesn't belong anymore. It's a clumsy, brutish, but coordinated effort.
Speaking of not belonging, did you see Oda's author comment this week? He was complaining about buying maxi singles at the CD store, thinking they're full albums. It was from 1998, so that checks out.
I did. It's such a normal, everyday complaint. It's a nice reminder that the person writing this epic story of found family and heartbreaking sacrifice also gets annoyed by minor music industry trends. It's grounding.
Right? It's like 1 minute he's crafting this masterpiece of emotional farewell. The next he's like, man, where are the rest of the songs? This is a ripoff. It's great. It makes the whole thing feel more human.
But the pleasantries end there. The mundane world of CD shopping is a million miles away from what's about to happen. Because then, Patty walks over to the pot of soup Sanji made.
This is it's a public execution of Sanji's pride. The staging is deliberate. Everyone is watching. Patty grabs the soup, takes a sip, and just spits it out. He yells that it's disgusting, that it tastes like garbage water.
The insult is so profound because it's not about Sanji's fighting or his attitude. It's about his cooking. It's an attack on his very soul. And Sanji is immediately furious, as he should be. This is his entire identity.
But then another cook tries it and agrees. Yeah, this is terrible. And another. The whole room, this whole family of chefs he's worked with for years, they all turn on him and say his cooking is garbage. They're all in on it.
It's a mutiny, a culinary mutiny, and Sanji is completely isolated. He's looking around for anyone to back him up, for any sign that this is a joke, and there's no one. Their faces are dead serious. The betrayal must feel absolute.
And then the final nail in the coffin, the final crushing blow. Owner Zeff, the man who taught him everything, his mentor, his father. He walks over, takes a taste, and says it's the worst soup he's ever had.
That's the moment Sanji breaks. It's the only opinion in the entire world that could shatter him, and it just did. The foundation of his entire life at the Baratie, the belief that he had earned Zeff's respect as a cook, has just been pulverized.
He snaps. He's not even thinking. He grabs Zeff by the collar, screaming at him, "What did you say, you old bastard?" And Zeff just decks him. A clean, brutal punch that sends him flying right out the door of the restaurant. It's so violent and sudden. There's no hesitation.
It's an act of staged cruelty. It has to be. There is zero possibility that Sanji, whose food moved the hardened pirate Jin to tears, and who Zeff himself acknowledged as a master cook, made a bad soup. They are performing for him, and the performance requires Zeff to be the villain.
They're trying to break his connection to the restaurant, to make it so painful for him to stay that leaving is the only option. It's so messed up, but you start to see the logic. They can't just say, "Hey Sanji, you should follow your dream." His sense of obligation is too strong. They have to make him feel like there's nothing left for him here.
A very twisted pirate kind of logic. You force the bird out of the nest by pretending the nest is on fire. It's love expressed as the deepest possible insult.
And then Luffy, who's been sitting on the floor this whole time, just quietly watching this whole insane drama play out, picks up the bowl of soup. He eats the entire thing, slurps it all down. He gets this big grin on his face and just says, "It's delicious."
Of course he does. Luffy is the truth teller here. He has no palate for lies or elaborate schemes. He just knows what's good. His simple honesty cuts through all of their complicated deception. He's the control group in their cruel experiment.
That's exactly the kind of thing that makes Luffy terrifying and the best captain. He doesn't play these games. He just sees the truth. The soup is good. Sanji is a great cook, and he belongs on his crew. He cuts through the noise and gets to the heart of the matter every single time.
Zeff sees that. He sees Luffy's simple declaration of truth and understands. This is the person. This is the one who isn't bound by the same complicated knots of obligation and history. He sees that Luffy is the one who can take Sanji where he needs to go.
And the whole plan is laid bare. The act is over, at least for the audience inside. Zeff turns to Luffy and just says it, that Sanji's dream isn't here. It's out there, on the Grand Line, finding the All Blue. And he tells Luffy, take him with you. Bro, the weight of that. He's entrusting his son's dream, his son's life, to this crazy straw-hatted kid he's known for all of a few days.
It's a testament to what Zeff saw in Luffy during the fight with Krieg. He saw a man who would die for his convictions, who protected his crew and his dream with everything he had. He's not entrusting Sanji to a stranger. He's entrusting him to a captain who shares the same indomitable spirit that Zeff himself once had. And then, the final, perfect, gut-wrenching twist, Sanji is right outside the door, and he heard everything.
He heard the insults weren't real. He heard the punch wasn't out of anger. He heard it was all an act of love, a desperate, clumsy, painful act to push him towards his own dream. The absolute emotional devastation. What a chapter ending. Oda, you magnificent monster.
The sheer emotional complexity of what Zeff and the cooks are doing is incredible. It's love expressed through rejection. They have to hurt him to help him.
They love him so much that they're willing to make him hate them, just for a moment, if it means he'll go be happy. That's family, not by blood, but by choice and shared experience. The emotions in this one are running high. Let us know in the comments what you think Sanji's reaction is going to be when he confronts them.
All right, predictions for Chapter 68. What do you have?
Okay, prediction 1. Sanji is going to come back in. He's going to try to play it cool, try to act like he's still mad, pretend he didn't hear anything, but he's going to be crying. It's going to be one of those ugly snot and tears goodbyes that he tries to hide by yelling at everyone, especially Zeff. He'll be calling him an old geezer through choked sobs.
I can see that. A farewell disguised as a fight. He maintains his tough exterior to the very end, even when he's emotionally compromised. That feels very true to his character. He's not the type for a heartfelt, gentle goodbye. I like it.
Prediction 2, we are 100% getting a Zeff and Sanji flashback. Now that Zeff is letting him go, we need to see how they got here. I think we're going to see the shipwreck. We're going to see the moment Zeff gave up his leg for Sanji. We've had hints, we've had rumors from the other cooks, but now we're getting the full, unvarnished, traumatic story straight from the source. It's the emotional climax this entire arc has been building towards.
That feels inevitable. We need the full context for why their bond is this strong, why this sacrifice play from Zeff is so meaningful. It's the origin story of their shared dream. Okay, my turn. Prediction 1. I think the other cooks, Patty and Carne and the rest, are going to drop the act completely. Now that Sanji knows the truth, the cruelty is no longer necessary. They're going to give him a proper, rowdy chef's send-off. They'll probably pack his things, maybe they all chip in to buy him a new set of knives, and then they'll all physically throw him onto Luffy's boat while insulting him lovingly.
Oh, a big, chaotic, loving farewell. A classic pirate send-off. They'll probably try to kick his ass one last time for the road. Yeah, that feels right. What's your second one?
Prediction 2. With the crew gaining its cook, the core 4 positions for East Blue seem complete. Captain, swordsman, navigator, and now cook. I believe the narrative will pivot immediately. Our dangling plot thread comes back. Yosaku and Johnny are going to show up on the horizon, possibly chasing the merry-going with dire news about Nami.
They'll explain that she didn't just leave. She's in serious trouble with a fishman pirate named Arlong. The pivot to the next arc will be swift and urgent.
Ah, of course. We can't forget about Nami. Her departure was so abrupt and mysterious. That makes perfect sense. They finally assemble the crew they need to properly sail, and their very next mission arrives on the tide. It's a rescue mission. The journey must continue.
Exactly. One family is letting their son go, and another is about to be reclaimed. The cycle of One Piece. Join us next time to find out if we're right.
Until then, keep sailing towards that dawn.